I'm still recording. Ugh, okay, right. Wait for... Yeah, we're recording. Great. Okay, well, it's the next day, and I said I wasn't going to do a recording. Like, the next day, I said that I was going to do it, well, like, once a week. That Andrew Clavin was doing it every day, and I'm not going to do that, and but here I am. I think I got a little excited. It is the next day. It's not like the same day, and I recorded another session. Anyway, so yeah, we are going to talk about like creative things, but yeah, I wanted to talk about something that I mentioned yesterday about the submission thing. And I don't know how deep I'm going to go into it, but the idea that submitting yourselves to others, it's so hard to describe, but like it does something to your ego. Like the idea of ego, I'm actually personally having a real epiphany or struggle, I guess, with that. Like the idea that if you submit yourself to others, then that is actually letting go of your ego, so that you can get on with people. I know for myself, like I'm still sort of processing myself out of this mindset, but I know for myself, I think I've been really like afraid of actually like intimacy, and afraid of like getting to know people too well and that sort of thing, because my ego was involved, and I'm like, oh, what if something goes wrong? Then like it's gonna affect me, and it's gonna affect my ego, and like I really don't want anything to go wrong. But actually, like that was at least to a large degree, I mean, again, I'm still figuring this out. That was sort of my ego talking. So that's really interesting. Yeah, like I say, I'm still learning about it, still processing about it. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Yeah, so I thought I'd share that, and I thought it was like really interesting, something that like my revelation can be your revelation, if you are watching this. So yeah, I thought that could be a valuable thing to share. Also, it's real because it's coming from me, and yeah, it's not just an idea. It's actually something that like I'm currently going through. So yeah, real talk. So yeah, that's that's that idea. That's that. Right. So yeah. What did I talk about yesterday? I talked about Justin Bieber. I talked about Andrew Clavin. Today's recommendation, I think, is still Andrew Clavin related, but it is the Lefty's Dictionary, and it's from Andrew Clavin, and it is, I guess, like political. That's the framework that he's working in. But I actually find his ideas so interesting that it actually encapsulates like a whole mentality. Like I begin to see traces of what he's identifying in his material, I guess. I begin to see traces of those like elsewhere, even in myself. So it's really interesting to see to see that. Sorry, my leg's a bit itchy. It's really interesting to see that. So yeah, I recommend that. I would never have found that if I wasn't already on Andrew Clavin's material. But it's such a genius way, concise genius way of laying out the ABCs, quite literally, of a certain mentality, of a certain, probably like a victim mentality, probably, and what that victim mentality does to try and, I mean, I've been there. I'm working myself out of it, but it's just interesting. It's just interesting. If you're that kind of person that likes to that likes psychology a little bit, then yeah, go ahead and watch it, because yeah, I find it interesting. Anyway, so there's that. What else? All sorts of ideas. My goodness, I could talk about anything. Yeah, okay, well, I think I can. It's possibly a little too early, but hey, I'm just spitballing, and yeah, I know the idea of. I think also what's going on for me is like the idea that as a creative person, and as like talking about creativity and music and that sort of thing, versus the ego, talking about that, like you've got an interesting sort of relationship there. I'm sort of reflecting on, like, with myself and thinking like, okay, so all this time, I think I've been doing music and creativity potentially to sort of like feed into my, at times, very insecure ego. So now that I'm shifting that and shifting into more of a submit myself, submitting my ego, I guess, what then is my relationship to music? And I think the answer to that question is really interesting. Like, music in itself sort of like is like a it does embellish, and it does glorify things, and it does, and well, and when you're talking about like glory, to glorify something, that's a really interesting concept. Like, God is jealous for God is the jealous God. God is the one who wants the glory. God is the one who deserves the glory. So it's an interesting thing. Like, so when I think the answer is in there somewhere, I think that's sort of like what I'm currently wrestling with. I haven't come up with anything yet about like a specific sentence by sentence answer, but yeah, finding a new dynamic of like the glory is his, is like quite like whoa, like it's quite a it's blowing my mind a bit, so in a good way. So yeah, we're all human, and yes. Right, what else can I talk about? I don't know. I feel like some of these episodes have the potential to be super short. Not that I necessarily want that. Like, how long have I been filming? 11 minutes. So 10 minutes. 10 minutes is okay. It doesn't necessarily need to be long, I guess. I could just say ciao and be done with it. But I feel like there's something else. What else do I want to talk about? There's something else that's just like, oh, do I really want to talk about that now? Oh, that's so personal. Oh, oh no. Okay, fine. Fine, I'll talk about it. Okay, yep. So, interesting. The other, the other aspect of like the submitting the ego thing and being distant with relationships for to have the ego threatened if something goes wrong. I think I've been thinking that like that sort of dynamic actually explains why I'm single, potentially, largely, why I'm single, because because the whole like scared of intimacy thing, like if the idea of like bringing in to my life a significant other has been such a threat to my ego, I guess, to this in my insecurity, this ego that I've built up for myself, and it's almost like for some reason all of a sudden I'm thinking of a metaphor. In my insecurity, I've built up this little mini sandcastle, and God, no, stay away from it. No, you can't touch it. Like, and I've been so concerned about keeping others away from it, not because like I'm like this is all I've got. This is my house. And it's like a pitiful little mound of sand, and I call this a house. Like BS. No, it's not. But yet yet I've been keeping other people away. But now that I am learning to take the submissive, I don't know, it's a voluntary thing, I think, to be able to submit yourself to others, and I'm still trying to figure out, but anyway, you get the point. I think that actually enables me to invite a significant other into my life, and not have my ego threatened, because my agenda is not my ego. My agenda is submission and ministry to others, and that's, I think, like a much more loving place to be. The submitted position enables love. It enables free exchange. I can picture. So that's really good, actually. So I'm still processing that. I do have somebody in mind, but yeah, that won't happen until I think I've really processed this and am at peace with actually going, right, okay, so this is me now. Like this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. This is the path forward. So wow, yeah, it's interesting. A whole a lot of thinking, a lot of mental shifting. Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. So I think that's plenty, actually. That's me being vulnerable, which I have talked about in a previous episode from the Hearts and Crafts season. And that's also hopefully also helpful for anybody who's listening in. Could be helpful in any which way that God so uses, I suppose. Yeah, so that's what I'm processing with at the moment. Anyway, so again, hope you enjoy your day. It's been a quick episode from me, and yeah, ciao. Yeah, ciao. Bye.